For the last 3 years, a phenomenon of young men missing in the city of Chicago has taken the media by storm.
And in a podcast we released in December of 2022, we pointed out that over 15 bodies were found in Chicago waterways in 2022 alone.
Something that I found pretty crazy was we were the first podcast that really covered this.
We were, not to toot our own horn. Boop, boop. Oh.
Ew.
Okay. If you are new to the channel and you like true crime, paranormal, or just any spooky content in general, make sure to subscribe because we post videos every single week.
And live stream.
I was going to say, we also live stream every single day. I post shorts a lot, multiple times a week, so make sure to subscribe.
We have guests call in.
We
talk lawsuits, jokes, gags. Get to know us personally.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Anyway.
If you join one, you're just going to love Kayla.
Okay.
She's just an irresistible person.
Thank you. Anyways, let's get back to the video. And on top of the striking amount of people going missing and ending up being found in waterways, what makes it even more eerie is that most of them are men, early 20s to early 30s. And they were coming home from a bar or a party late at night.
A lot of them were of very good shape. Some foreign, some local.
Our first video on this potential serial killer in Chicago, we specifically spoke about the 2 men that went missing in December and later found deceased in a Chicago waterway.
I think this was the first video I was ever in.
Really?
I think so.
Interesting. But the 2 men were, one 23 years old and the other just 21 years old. If you want more information on those 2 cases specifically, we're going to link all of our previous 3 parts to this Chicago potential serial killer in the description, in the comments, and linked somewhere on the actual video.
Yeah, we're going to briefly go over the cases, but if you really want the full picture, the full story, between, I think, episode 2 and 3, there were even updates.
Yes.
Like they had found bodies that were missing still or something crazy. But I really would recommend that, and maybe Kayla has a playlist on the channel.
Yeah. I can make one if not. I didn't realize that now we're at 4 parts.
It's messed up, man.
It really is.
It's such a terrible subject.
And the reason why it went from video 1 to video 2 was because after a few months passed, after we started receiving comments on our December video, the first one we ever created, December 2022, multiple people were actually commenting, updating us that more people have gone missing since we released the video. Bodies were being found and pulled from Chicago waterways, and also they were all men in their early 20s as well. So people were really like asking us for more. They were asking us to do an update, and so we did. So we released another video on the topic, like we said. In that video, we pointed out that in February of 2020. In February of 2023, 2 other men went missing. One, a 23-year-old Illinois college student. His body was pulled just 3 days after he went missing from Chicago's Sanitary and Ship Canal. And just a day after his body was found, a 24-year-old was reported missing. About a month later, his body was found.
Now, this is where we launched our campaign. The Chicago police were adamant that there was no serial killer, but in fact, people were going to go pee-pee in the lake, and as they pee-peed in the lake or the river, they would fall in and drown.
Well, that's what they would say. That's what the Chicago Police Department said. That's what most people probably in Chicago
to meme on the Chicago police, we created a shirt, pee in your pants, not in the lake. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing it today, but I did wear it to a Zoom call, which was a professional setting, and all you could see in it said pee in your pants. I didn't realize that the not in the lake thing was cut off. So I showed up to a Zoom call wearing a pee in your pants shirt.
Oh my God.
But if anyone wants a shirt.
Yeah, that was also a 1 out of 1. Like we
1
never
out of 1.
made any of the
I'll
other
produce
ones.
them if you guys want them.
After we were receiving all of these commenting on our first video, we released the second video talking about the 2 men in their early 20s that went missing in February. Both their bodies were found in Chicago waterways, like we said. However, Seamus Gray, a 21-year-old U.S. Navy sailor, disappeared in Waukegan after leaving a bar. His body was also found in Lake Michigan.
For those who are not familiar, Waukegan is about 45 minutes north of Chicago. It's technically just north of quote-unquote North Chicago. However, it is far outside of the city limits.
Yes. And I remember they were looking for him his body for a while, or him for a while. There were the Coast Guard. People were diving in the water.
I remember I had actually traveled to and from Chicago for business a couple times, and it was always on the news there. I'm a little bit of a news bug. You just have to watch the news everywhere I go.
And then in part 3 of this video, we also discussed Noah Enos, who was a 29-year-old who went missing during a concert. Sorry, the cat literally just poked his head like... It was actually really sad. Noah Enos was 29 years old when he went missing, and he went missing during a concert at the Salt Shed in Chicago.
If you've ever been to Chicago, you've been on the highway on the north side, you can see the Morton Salt Shed. Mm-hmm. And it turned into a music venue a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was
from a salt shed.
It was a Morton salt factory that turned into a music venue, the Salt Shed. You said it was a salt shed. No one knows what a salt shed is.
Well, that's what it's called.
Well, now it is, but you're like, it was a Morton salt shed. It was a salt factory for Morton salt.
It wasn't like a factory. They
just kept the
I'm pretty sure it was a salt shed. That's why it's called the Salt Shed.
Interesting. Okay, well,
I'm
I don't
pretty
know if
sure.
people know what a salt shed is.
It's not called like the salt.
Anyway.
The Salt Theater.
He was attending the concert with a coworker. Specifically, it was an Australian rock band concert, which was on June 12th of 2023. He was found about 9:45 a.m. near the 1300th block of North Elson Avenue, not far from the Salt Shed, which we said popular venue, and the old Morton Salt Factory.
And that was in the Chicago River, correct?
Yes.
So the Chicago River doesn't run very quickly, so that would make sense. But that's just sketchy. And just for people who are not familiar with Chicago and the Midwest and how the water is, I've spent many years on the waters in the Midwest. And the water in Chicago in June will be freezing cold.
Yeah.
It won't be like literally freezing, but I have memories
pretty cold
of swimming on the 4th of July and being like, oh my God, my nuts are in my throat.
Okay. Mr. Morton. I don't know what this has to do with him, but okay. If you want more details on this specific case, go to one of the parts. I think it's part 3.
Just watch them all.
Watch them all, though. But
don't
yeah, part 3 is the
them.
Noah Enos one. And it was actually interesting because this time, the family specifically said that they suspected foul play because they found out from AT&T that his last messages and calls were sent at about 5 p.m. However, his friends have texts from him stamped between 7 and 10 p.m. at night, Fox News reported. Enos' girlfriend, Nicole, said he was last seen on surveillance video about 9:30 p.m., June 12th, talking with some people at the show before he left and headed north on Elson Avenue. He also had been in touch with her via text and Snapchat from the concert before his phone died at about 10 p.m., NBC Chicago reported. They did review some of the footage and they saw him and his coworker walking around the venue at about 9:30 p.m.
That must be a cool coworker.
Yeah.
I've never had a coworker that I've wanted to like share an outside work experience with. Sorry to all my coworkers.
I've had some, but yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the field you're working in. But anyway.
To kind of wrap it up, we came to the conclusion that something a little fishy is going on. The Chicago police obviously don't want to admit that there's some sort of serial killer or a killer gang out and about because that would be terrible for tourism on top of Chicago's already terrible crime number.
And the reason why we uploaded the first part of the video, aka in January of 2023, after the December 2022 incidents, the reason why we uploaded it,
it was because I had people on Facebook.
Yeah.
Somebody that I knew who went to DePaul in Chicago. Somebody I knew who went to DePaul in Chicago for college was actually sharing a Facebook link to go look for somebody.
When we first released the first part of the video, I remember we didn't want to be like theorists that we're just putting this out because we're true crime podcasters and we're trying to make something out of nothing. We didn't want to, like, I remember being like, you know, this is a little bit far out there. We're not saying that this is what's happening. We're just offering maybe a contrasting perspective to it being, oh, people are falling into the lake because they're intoxicated late at night. Because I thought that was kind of like writing people off and just judging them based on like just being out at nighttime. Because they're like young men in their 20s or whatever, and late at night by the lake. Oh, they fell in, and you know, like it was just we were just trying to offer another perspective and like potential.
It's just a little fishy when people are tweeting about it and there's no podcast on it. You know, why not cover it? And it's interesting. You know, there is a MO to a lot of these cases. They follow a pattern where there's young men, they're out, they're good looking, they disappear.
Yeah.
They make some weird move with their phone, and then they end up floating in the lake or in the river. It's terrible.
It is. So I think part 1, we were a little bit like, oh, this could be it, but we're not going to, no, maybe not. Part 2, we were more like, okay, now it's getting a little weird now that there are 2 more men in February, and then someone else in March went missing. They were all found in the lake, and they were all intoxicated or whatnot. And then this was part 3. This is when Noah Enos, the man that was attending the concert at the salt shed, when he went missing, specifically his stepmother and his father were specifically stating things that were kind of in a similar viewpoint as us. For example, his stepmother said, quote, "We know he was murdered and we believe that there's a serial killer," Vander Werf, his stepmother, said. Since December, at least 5 young men were reported missing for several days before their bodies were discovered in either Lake Michigan or the Chicago River, NBC reported. This has fueled speculation on social media that a serial killer is to blame, though city and county officials told NBC that there is no evidence the cases are related. Stephen Enos, the father of Noah Enos, said the family is, quote, "not going to give up. We're going to try to help make a change, do something because it happened to us and it could be somebody else's child next year." And on top of that, they had a GoFundMe. They raised a lot of money. Specifically, they hired a private investigator because it just didn't sit right with them that their son would just disappear from the concert at a certain time, like 10, not even that late, you know? And this venue is pretty big, like, if someone saw him walking near, you know, it's almost as if someone would have seen him. And I remember we specifically, in part 3 of the video, we specifically went on Google Maps and we zoomed into the salt shed and we were trying to find out, like, where could he have been walking?
Where there were no cameras.
Where there were no cameras.
There's a Cadillac dealership there. That place must be crawling with cameras.
Or just not even cameras, just
people.
No. Where could you fall in? Like, it's like not like you're just walking around.
Yeah, there's no river walk there. It's like you were walking over the Elston Street Bridge or something. Yeah. I don't even know if there's a bridge on Elston. Probably.
Yeah. So since our last video, I guess the most updated thing about Noah Enos was his cause of death. And here's the link. It's from the CWB Chicago. The medical examiner releases cause of death for Noah Enos, man who disappeared after attending concert at the salt shed. This was released just October 2nd of 2023, so about 6 months ago-ish. They said that they have concluded their investigation of the death of Noah Enos, a 26-year-old man found dead in the Chicago River. Enos died from drowning, the medical examiner concluded, but investigators were unable to determine the manner of death. Manners of death include accident, homicide, suicide, and natural causes. So it's kind of like he died from drowning. It's not like he died and then someone threw the body in, basically. But someone could have pushed him in. Yeah, resulting in him in drowning.
Well,
you know?
I also don't think the Chicago River is particularly wide. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people can't swim, but a majority of the population, probably can swim. Mm-hmm. I think that being able to swim to the shore is very reasonable, especially if he hadn't even drifted. It's not like you're fighting a strong current.
Yeah,
or
it's
anything.
A river.
He drifted like river.
It's like
he
a
drifted.
City river. Something interesting that I read since the last video that we didn't talk about, or I didn't point out, or maybe no one really knew at the time, was someone on Reddit stated, and apparently other people kind of backed it up that this was true. They said, "Thoughts and prayers, what a sad poetic sort of irony that the last song he heard live was, quote, 'Am I in Heaven?' at the concert."
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that kind of crazy? I was like, yeah, it is poetic, sad sort of irony there. But anyway, since Noah Enos, unfortunately, more men have gone missing and
subsequently been found
in waterways in Chicago. October 20th of 2023, Michael McCord was reported missing from the city's southwest side. On January 30th, his body was found on the lower west side near 24th and Hoyne 2400 block South Hoyne Avenue. His mom actually commented on this Reddit post because people just kind of take it upon themselves to I guess, write in r/Chicago or r/mysteries, serial killer, whatever. Just all
RBI, Reddit, Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah, all of these things.
I'm a police captain in the RBI.
On r/Chicago, there was a post titled "Body Found in Chicago River Identified as Man Missing Since October." A bunch of people were obviously commenting, stating their opinions on the case. A lot of them stating that, oh, it's what a shame that another intoxicated young man fell into the lake, and people really need to stop drinking and going out this late. People were just inserting their opinions and not being nice about it. And so I was just kind of perusing Reddit and looking into all of these cases, and it was upsetting to see, but you know what? Rightfully so. His mother commented on the Reddit thread as well, stating, "First of all, this is my son that has been identified. He has been missing since October. He was hanging out at the Damon silos.
Damon silo.
Damon silos when he disappeared. I hope and pray none of you people with these rude comments ever lose a loved one. He was loved by many people. He lived right down the street from where he was reported missing, so stop with the negative comments."
Oh man, the Damon silos. I've actually been there and I've been inside of them. Wouldn't recommend to any of our subscribers or any of our viewers. It is not a safe place nor enjoyable place.
Mm-hmm.
There are abandoned grain silos on the southwest side of the city. It's something that stupid high schoolers go do, and you don't even have to be stupid. I feel like a lot of people I know have been inside of them.
Yeah, but I think the mom was pointing out we live near there. It's not it's not like he was just hanging out there, drink whatever. I mean, I don't know what he did, and she didn't specify what he did. But I think the point is all of these people are kind of making these theories so for example, this person said, "Can everyone just not mention dumb theories about a smiley face serial killer or whatever? So many people convinced that there's some serial killer pushing men into the river/lake. The reality is likely much more boring. But like many other people that drowned Chicago and every other city near water, in all likelihood, he was drinking and walking alone at night. Then got close to the water and fell in. Be safe, drink responsibly. If you are drinking a lot, don't wander alone, and definitely don't do that near water when it's cold out." But I feel like that's kind of
dismissive?
That's dismissive and rude to be all of the other cases, because weren't there cases where there was
no alcohol.
Yeah.
They were sober. They were studying for school.
And that's a good segue, because recently there are even more people that are disappearing that it doesn't seem like they were even out at night or doing anything at a concert or walking home intoxicated, wee in the morning or whatever.
We in the
Sorry, I don't know why I said that.
British.
So there are a few other people that went missing. Elijah Ramone Looper. He was last seen on November 15th of 2023, and his body washed ashore on February 14th, 2024, in the 2200 block of Lakeshore Drive. Jovan Nelson on April 8th, the 24-year-old was reported missing in Chicago. He was last seen in the 3200th block of East 92nd Street. And then this article kind of struck me for some reason. One, they keep referring to him as the DoorDash driver, Elijah Okunola, and they specifically mention that his last completed delivery was on April 2nd. But the missing persons bulletin from Chicago police has his last contacted listed as April 13th. He was a 24-year-old black male. He was last seen driving near 55 East Person Street in Chicago, and he was last seen dropping off his mother at work, which, I mean, maybe his mom works at night, but most likely it was in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think of someone that's a DoorDash driver, I think of someone that's constantly their location is constantly being tracked.
Mm-hmm.
The timing, the deliveries, you can really see.
I know, I'm on DoorDash all the time.
Yeah, but
I'm
imagine
tracking.
a driver.
Yeah.
They're literally constantly on the app. It wasn't like he was going out at night with his friends and he disappeared.
I feel like being a DoorDash driver in Chicago, you probably have a decent amount of street smarts.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
yeah.
just getting around. It's like a New York City DoorDash driver.
Yeah.
You have a lot of street smarts.
That's true.
But, I mean, it's terrible. And I don't like how the media is just referring to him. Every article is DoorDash driver, DoorDash driver, DoorDash driver. Dude, he's a person.
Yeah, that too. This guy definitely had so much more to him than just being a DoorDash delivery driver.
And this stupid media.
Which, by the way, is not a bad thing at all. It's just what if he had a passion in anime? I don't know. Or something else. I don't know. I was just
it's just the way the media is,
Yeah.
referring to him, and even referring to a lot of these cases. There's no information on it. It's just pushed under the rug.
So
if World of T-shirts can get plastered every day and not fall in the Hudson,
that's true. Okay.
Like,
but I hope he doesn't. Knock on wood.
No, I don't want him to. But
want
I'm just saying, it's like, what a stupid excuse.
Yeah, really.
What a really dumb excuse from the Chicago Police Department.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Someone's family member commented on
one
our
of
video.
our videos. Yeah.
And that like really hits home.
Yeah.
And we're gonna donate to the GoFundMe's.
Yeah, we every time we do,
every time we cover, we
do.
Donate
and trust
to
me, if we had 1 million subscribers, we would be donating
a
lot more.
I'm sorry. We operate at a loss.
Yeah, honestly. So going back to talking about the family members of those that have gone missing and been found in waterways in Chicago, I think Noah Enos was maybe specifically the first family, at least from what I've seen reported by the media, that actually commented on the potential of there actually being a serial killer or foul play instead of just, he fell into...
Did they find the DoorDash driver's body?
No, I don't think so.
That's
Not that
terrible.
I saw.
Didn't he just went missing though, right?
Okunola's older brother said he lives with his mother and sister, and he was last seen dropping his mother off at work. DoorDash released a statement saying, "We are devastated to hear about this tragic situation and have reached out to the Okunola family to offer our support during this difficult time. The safety of our community is extremely important to us, and we've been working closely with law enforcement to assist them as they investigate in any way that we can." So
good.
Yeah, good. I mean, if there's one thing that you can benefit of being known as the DoorDash driver that went missing, I hope
getting some help from DoorDash.
From DoorDash, whether it be in the investigation or, knock on wood, hopefully not, but a GoFundMe later on, if his body ends up being found, but hopefully not. Again, hopefully found, but just alive. Anyway, sorry, not supposed to be funny. Noah Enos, the I guess first family that seems to actually been really questioning the validity of the Chicago Police Department in their search and basically their claims of he fell in the river. I remembered in part 3 of the video, we were looking at Noah Enos' GoFundMe, all the speeches with his girlfriend, speaking at, I think, a vigil, his stepmom, his dad, Stephen Enos, and specifically I remembered Kathy Vanderwerf, his stepmom, basically talking about how they believe that there is a serial killer and they wanted to I think they did hire a private investigator to kind of look into it. And so when we were researching for this video, I specifically was trying to find any updates from his stepmom, and whether they found anything. If they did find anything, did they post anything? Are they still kind of, going with this there could be a serial killer in Chicago thing? And I couldn't really find much, unfortunately, and I don't want to contact her because I don't want to bring anything I don't know. I just don't think it's my place.
It's not appropriate.
It's not appropriate unless they kind of seek us out, or if the person that commented, I forgot who it was. Maybe I should look it up because now I feel rude. But it was literally our first video. This was over 2 years ago now.
Send us an email at cauldronconvos@gmail.com.
Yeah, I remember the only thing that I found from Kathy Vanderwerf, his stepmom, since I guess the Chicago Police Department announced that he passed away from drowning, but they couldn't specify whether it was an accident, suicide, a homicide. They couldn't specify the cause of drowning, I believe. The only thing that I found was a group called Missing Person Chicago. It's a public group. There's about 3,200 members in the group specifically, and I found this post from Kathy Vanderwerf, his stepmom, on November 3rd of 2023. So this was
pretty recent. 6 months ago, but
recently, more recent than the last things that we've seen from her.
Yes.
And it was just her stating another one, and it was a screenshot from ABC7, 2 screenshots exactly, and she posted, and it said, "Dead body pulled from Chicago River near West 31st Street, police say." So she posted those 2 things. One person reacted to the post, but there's nothing else that I can see. And when I go to the actual page, there is nothing new because it says, "This group provides no actual benefit to the families, friends of missing persons here in the Chicago area. It is not a legitimate resource to help in those cases. Instead, it has become a haven for spammers to post ridiculous things. It has also allowed scammers to reach out to grieving families with links to try to steal money. This group is being paused so that no further families are targeted by the ilk that has inundated this page. It will eventually be deleted once the task of banning/deleting all members is complete. Facebook's process for deleting groups, it's stupid, we know. Should you want to help expedite this process, please voluntarily leave the group. Should you ever be in a situation whereas you need help locating a missing loved one, your first step should be to contact your local law enforcement agency. There is no required waiting period to report a missing person, though some people still think you have to wait 48 hours. This is incorrect. As soon as you suspect that someone is missing, alert law enforcement. The sooner that someone is reported missing, the greater odds there are of finding them. But isn't that kind of crazy? Like, they literally...
People suck.
The admin paused... Well, it sucks in one way because, I mean, I obviously cannot see all of the posts on here. I can't see if people are actually, which I'm sure they are. People are probably spamming the families, unfortunately. But it stinks because the admin had to pause the group on February 11th this year, and now there are more and more people going missing, and there's not really like a place that people can... I don't know. Like, it kind of reminds me of, and maybe I'm taking this too far, but it kind of reminds me of, what was that cat thing? The guy who murdered, or that cat documentary about the guy that
Don't mess with cats.
Don't mess with cats. And all those people came together, and they like all of these like people into it. They were the ones that found out where he was, right?
Yeah, they found his vacuum cleaner brand or something crazy.
Yeah, so it just reminds me of like Don't Mess with Cats or whatever, where like a group of people that are
strangers, a
community that are just either interested, but also interested / want to help the families if they can in any way. There are probably so many cases in the world, this country, the state of Illinois, that people just kind of dismiss something as, oh, it's all of these women that are sex workers, and that's why they're going missing. They're doing it to themselves. And then now it's, oh, they're all these young men in their 20s going home from a bar late at night by the water. You know, obviously something can happen. They're going to the bathroom in the lake and they fall in, and then what are they going to do? Like, they're drunk. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost as if like that's just the acceptable answer to like maybe the detectives. And I'm not saying this for about everyone that works for Chicago PD or whatever, but like, it's their job, and sometimes people slack on the job, you know?
Yeah, and I think also just a note for society, a lot of people have the, oh, it won't be me complex. And, you know, I don't think anyone ever plans to fall into the lake and drown.
Yeah.
Whether you're pushed or you do it by accident and you just have to pee.
Yeah.
I think people need to swallow their ignorance and swallow their pride and realize, look, it's not going to be you necessarily, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be you. You just have to be smart. The
only really scientific thing that they've studied has been like the temperature of the water during certain months. But like, have they ever done a study where they have like a bunch of lifeguards around individuals, and then they just kind of push someone in the lake and see if they can get out or not? Because I don't think it's a lake, like it's not an ocean.
No, and if you fall in, there are ladders on the break wall in Chicago, like every 10 feet. I'm not saying that, like,
oh, they should all have been able to get out, but it kind of is. It seems like a lot of people, you know, like not being able to get out of a river in Chicago, which is obviously freezing. Okay, I get it. Your muscles tense up, and it's not.
You're probably disoriented.
But like, they haven't even studied. Like, is it really? You know, do people ever try?
I don't get this. Yeah, people do swim in cold water. I just don't understand how it could happen to so many people, and you know, I guess we never really hear about the people that fall in the lake and get saved. We're not saying it's the Smiley Face Killer. I mean, look, it could be. I don't know of any accounts of a smiley face being painted near anyone.
No.
But this is a weird MO.
Yeah, just definitely weird. Yeah.
As somebody who knows, I know somebody who is best friends with a victim of a Smiley Face Killer. Knowing that, you know, that kind of brings it down to earth for me.
Yeah.
It makes it possible.
Either way, whether it be a killer, whether it be just a bunch of people with a tragic ending for seemingly no reason, maybe they need more cameras in Chicago, near Chicago waterways. Maybe they need more fences, lights, like anything. Like the
just
fact
be
that
safe,
people can
guys.
just fall in the water while like going on a run is kind of wild.
Practice
to me.
common sense.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Please be safe out there. Please report anything if you've seen any of the missing people. We'll put links in the description of anything that we can find that's relevant. And watch the other 3 parts of our series, I guess, at this point. Let's hope that this is the last part of the series. Let's hope that we figure out what's going on. If it is a serial killer in Chicago, Hopefully they find it out sooner than later. If it's not, and it's just a lot of tragic endings with falling into the lake, then let's do something about that, with whether it be lights, whether it be cameras, whether it be fences being put up so people can't just fall in. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, as usual.
If you see something, say something.
Exactly.
Always. It's like the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Pee in your pants, not in the lake.
Okay, sure. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next time here in Cauldron Combos. Bye.